Hi, I'm Jill Lally, and I'd like to welcome you to the DeFabio Difference for Health Management. With me in the studio is our esteemed Dr. Donald DeFabio, chiropractic sports physician extraordinaire. He is dual board certified in chiropractic orthopedics and sports injury management. Welcome, Dr. DeFabio.
Thanks for having me here, Jill.
We have a very special show that I would like to share. Dr. DeFabio has an extraordinary plethora of information that he always gives to his audience, to his patients, to his community. And today we have with us the story of Dr. DeFabio. Dr. DeFabio, last year you were out of the office for several months. Can you tell our viewers and patients what happened?
Sure, it'd be my pleasure, Jill. Yeah, this would be 2016, from August 4th until just about Christmas time. I didn't step my foot in the office from August 4th until October 15th. I wasn't in the office at all. And by the way, I want to thank my staff for a great job in keeping the office running. My daughter Amanda stepped up and ran the office, and was able to get a covering doctor to step in on an emergency basis, and it worked out pretty well. So a big shout out to Amanda, so thanks, good job. But what happened is I was surfing on, as a physician, we're told that when patients say they've had this pain like they've never had before, that's what we call a red flag. That means something's really going on. And I had one of those situations. I was paddling and felt this pain in my back, like a pain I've never had before. And I got out of the water and took a hot shower, tried to stretch it out, but within 10 minutes I knew this was not just a back spasm. And I was with my parents, so I pushed my father's life alert button, and the ambulance came and they brought me to the local hospitals at the Jersey Shore. And after a couple hours they sent me to the regional hospital, and I spent 2 weeks there in intensive care, cardiac care unit, flat on my back. And then they came and transferred me one day to NYU, Columbia Presbyterian, excuse me, where I spent another 2 weeks in intensive care up there, flat on my back. So I spent the whole month of 2016 in intensive care. What had happened is I sustained what's called an aortic dissection. My aorta ripped. So that's kind of what happened.
So what exactly is an aortic dissection?
Well, your aorta, let me show you a picture here. We brought a picture. Your aorta runs from your heart and it arches around and then it goes all the way down. And it's the main blood vessel from your heart and supplies the rest of your body. And then it goes down at the bottom. You see it branches off, it forks off, and goes down your legs, and then it branches again. That's what your aorta is. It's a major artery. The major artery. And an aortic dissection is when it tears, it rips. So in my case, at the very top there, you see over here, I brought another picture, that is where the tear occurred. If the tear occurred any closer to my heart, it would have been a different type of medical emergency. I would have needed required surgery, and frankly, my brother had that condition at 57 years old. His aorta ripped at the top by the arch, a little closer to the heart, and yeah, he didn't survive surgery. So he died at 57 from an aortic arch aneurysm / dissection. Mine occurred going down the descending aorta. It's called a Class B aorta, and it ripped about 6 inches, which means the first 6 to 8 inches of the aorta were just kind of ripped and separated, so it was like bulging out, and I was like that for about 2 weeks. Yeah.
So do you know why or how this occurred?
It's genetic. I was surfing and I had a blood pressure spike. My blood pressure went up, and it just caught see, your arteries have 3 layers to them, and the inside layer got ripped away from the other 2 layers, and blood gets behind it, and it just kind of works its way down and it tears down. Yeah, it was just a genetic weakness that I had, and it just spontaneously ripped. Because after my brother had his dissection, I went and had my CAT scans and my ultrasounds, and I did all the tests, and everything was fine. You know, my other 2 brothers got checked, and they were fine. It's just when it goes, it goes. It's a genetic weakness.
So it's enormous pressure of the flow?
Yeah, basically. You know, my blood was coming out, the doctor told me, more like a power washer than a garden hose. And it just, and it just spontaneously ripped. And again, for about 2 weeks, it was just the top part. And usually those heal up pretty well. And but my condition then spread. It ripped again, and not just the top part, and it ripped all the way down into my legs. So now I have an aortic dissection. It's called a Class B dissection, from my subclavian artery all the way up by where it starts to arch down, all the way down into my legs, where it forks off and goes into my legs. And the part that's pulled off, that's pulled off 75%. So rather than having, it's called a false lumen and a true lumen, but rather than your aorta being like a rifle, now I have like a double-barrel shotgun, and it's pulled off 75%. But the good news is blood's still getting to my organs, so that's a good thing.
Well, doctor, with such an extensive tear, it's remarkable that you survived, and you look great, thriving.
Yeah. Well, you know, Jill, yes, it's remarkable I survived, considering my brother died of almost the same thing. And yeah, I'm that guy that like parks in the handicap spot, and you know, gets out and everybody looks at him and goes, "Oh, that guy should be parking in the handicap spot. Make sure you give him a ticket. Give him 2 tickets." But yeah, you know, you just can't see what's going on the inside.
Well, it's amazing that with the aortic artery feeding and supporting all the organs, that none of those organs are compromised. So are you back treating patients, doctor?
Yes, none of my organs are compromised, and no, I'm not treating patients. I'm not allowed to do any physical exertion. I'm not allowed to push down, because you see, the artery pulled off and it spread out and pulled off, so now it's weaker. So they don't want me to do anything that's going to increase my pressure, you know, because that would over time cause it to spread, and then it could rupture. And if it ruptures and bleeds, you would basically bleed to death internally. Mine ripped, but all my blood stayed in the aorta, so I was blessed. I was blessed. Somebody was looking out for me.
So what are you able to do if you're not treating your patients?
Well, I guess I'm what's called the hallway hostess. I'm Chief of Chiropractic Services. I've given myself the title of Chief of Chiropractic Services, so I can still oversee the care. We have another doctor in the office providing the care. And, you know, so I've been in practice over 30 years. I have a lot of patients that I've developed long-term relationships with. So I can maintain those relationships, just someone else is doing the treatment.
So you oversee the evaluation and management, and then you have another doctor treating.
And I can oversee their exercises, I can oversee their nutrition. So all the brain stuff I can do. It's the physical stuff I can't do.
And then in addition to the chiropractic, you also have expanded to include other services?
Well, in the office we have acupuncture. We have a great, she's been on the show before, Amanda is our acupuncturist. She does a great job. And my assistant, when we're not treating patients, also does one-on-one personal training in the office for corrective exercise, not for building up a lot of muscle mass. When people have specific health issues, we have to work around with their exercises.
And you've expanded your nutrition consultations.
Yeah, well, we're still doing the psoriasis, but we're doing a little bit more of the psoriasis, Dr. Pagano's psoriasis program. And then, of course, the main things we see with nutrition are weight loss issues and sleep issues and GI issues. Those are the top three that we see along with psoriasis.
So can you explain a little bit more about the concept of reducing your genetic expression for disease?
Well, you know, I had a genetic weakness. I have a genetic weakness, and I survived. My brother had the same genetic weakness, and he didn't survive. Well, how come? Well, a couple of things. Number one, the grace of God. But number two is I am a proponent of what's called an anti-inflammatory lifestyle, because we know that inflammation drives disease. And if you maintain a low inflammatory state in your body with food and nutraceuticals, vitamins and supplements, your genetic expression for disease is reduced. Now, I've been preaching this for over a decade to my patients. We know that inflammation creates pain, so everybody can understand that, but I say, look, you stay on an anti-inflammatory diet after you're feeling better, it will reduce your genetic expression for disease, because inflammation and disease are related. Anything with an osis or an itis in it is inflammation. That includes atherosclerosis, right? You know, hardening of the arteries, or arthritis, or diverticulosis, or any of those things. And I'm a living example of it. So an anti-inflammatory lifestyle, eating the right foods, along with other lifestyle choices that are healthy, are exercise and diet, nutrition, getting enough sleep. I mean, that reduced my genetic expression for disease. But I'm convinced the biggest difference, because my brother had an active lifestyle, but he did not have an anti-inflammatory lifestyle by any means. I think that was the biggest difference, you know.
Well, I've heard you say that genetics is the loaded gun and lifestyle pulls the trigger. So I understand now that your choices, your healthy lifestyle, kept that trigger from being pulled.
That would be consistent. Yeah, I would agree. So thank you. And it's also important to realize that it all ties together with investing in your health now. See, what I do today for my health may not necessarily pay off today. All right, I didn't do, in fact, I wasn't doing anything special the day of my dissection, you know, for my health. In fact, it was not a very healthy day. I had 2 cups of coffee all day. I had nothing else to eat. I was a little dehydrated, right? And I went out and tried to exercise, you know? So I'm exercising hard on 2 cups of coffee and being dehydrated. That wasn't a great lifestyle choice, and that could have impacted what happened genetically. But what's important is my anti-inflammatory lifestyle for the decade before that prepared me to survive.
When we return, Doctor, if you could speak to us about the anti-inflammatory diet and the 5 pillars of health. I'm Jill Lally. Thank you.
It's a huge problem today. Opiate addiction, prescription medication addiction to prescriptions like Vicodin, OxyContin, Percocet. Those are highly addictive opiates. They're actually morphine derivatives. So much so that 1.9 million Americans are addicted to those prescription drugs. Just today, a patient came to the office with sciatica, showed me her prescription from her medical doctor for OxyContin. This is so much of an issue with the opiate misuse and abuse that March 2016, the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, and the U.S. Agency for Health and Human Services issued a policy statement that doctors need to consider non-pharmacological alternatives and non-addictive medications for people with musculoskeletal pain. Chiropractic care has solid research that shows it's effective for low back pain, both acute and chronic. There's solid chiropractic research that it's beneficial for neck pain and headaches. Check the Duke University study. Chiropractic has been proven to be non-pharmacologic and safe treatment for musculoskeletal complaints. That's what I do as a chiropractic doctor. So if you suffer with musculoskeletal pain, go to the chiropractic doctor first. The research is there, satisfaction results studies are high, and it just might be what the doctor ordered.
Hi, I'm Jill Lally, and welcome back to the DeFabio Difference for Health Management. With me in the studio is Dr. Donald DeFabio. We've been speaking about an anti-inflammatory diet and what are the 5 pillars of health. Dr. DeFabio?
So where do you want me to start, on the 5 pillars or the diet?
Well, I think diet, anti-inflammatory diet, please.
All right, well, again, inflammation drives disease. So by suppressing inflammation, you will reduce your genetic expression for disease, and I'm a living testimonial to that. And this is based on human biochemistry. It's not based on your astrological sign or whether your mother was facing north when you were born or if you have a blue eye or a hazel eye, okay? It's human biochemistry. We know that there's a couple of things that will drive inflammation based on your diet. Okay? Number 1, the ratio between omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids. Fatty acids come from our foods, and they're from fats or fatty sources. Omega-6 fatty acids are found in grains. They're found in hydrogenated oils. They're found in seed oils, corn oil, soybean oil. That's a bean seed, but safflower seed oil, all right? Those are very high in omega-6 fatty acids, and grains are high in omega-6 fatty acids. And foods that eat grains are high in omega-6 fatty acids. All those foods drive inflammation. Fried foods, hydrogenated oil, high in omega-6 fatty acids. So what's the average American diet? It's grain-based. We have a grain-based diet. And French fries and fried foods, right? So very pro-inflammatory. Anti-inflammatory foods are vegetation or green vegetation. So above ground vegetation, plankton, all right, seaweed, foods that eat those things are anti-inflammatory. So that means your lean meats, or grass-fed meats and above-ground vegetation are anti-inflammatory. Milk, if it's grass-fed, is okay, but you have to understand that, cheese and milk are condiments. They're not a meal, all right? So a little bit, but it ideally should be grass-fed. So as a brief synopsis, those are your pro and anti-inflammatory foods. And what's the solution? You eat more of these and less of those. So I don't eat grains on a regular basis. Occasionally, last week was big, dinner and with my family, and yeah, I had a piece of pie, okay, and we had a family get together, and I had a mini cannoli, okay. Now, are there grains in there? Yeah, but there's something else that's in there: sugar. Sugar also drives inflammation. See, every time we eat, our blood sugar goes up. No matter what you eat, your blood sugar goes up, okay? You eat asparagus and grilled chicken, which is very low in sugar, your blood sugar is going to go up. But how fast your blood sugar goes up and how long it stays up determines how much inflammation on your system that meal created. So your sugary foods, blood sugar goes up fast. All right, and if it's with sugar and those hydrogenated fats, it goes up fast and it stays up for a long time. Donuts, all right, that's just, white sugar on steroids, all right, because you got the fats and you got the sugar that drives inflammation. So a big meal full of sugar, full of the omega-6 bad fats will drive inflammation as well. So goes back to the American diet, what I grew up on. Burger, fries, and a shake. Burger, fries, and a soda. right? Donut and coffee in the morning. White roll with butter or bagel with cream cheese and coffee. Very pro-inflammatory foods. Caffeine's not the problem. It's the sugar and the white flour, the grains that make the problem. And as a side note, good fats are okay. You got to get good fats, avocado, olive oil, nuts, especially macadamias. Those are good fats. You got to have fats. All right, those are essential fats and they're important. But that's it in a nutshell when it comes to diet. And you can supplement that with fish oil. Fish oil is an essential fatty acid, and those are omega-3s. And I take 2,000 to 3,000 milligrams of EPA DHA of refined fish oil every day. All right, because it needs to be refined. Because if it's not refined, you may be getting pollutants, mercury and PCBs, which actually drive inflammation. We found out. So it needs to be a refined fish oil if you're going to be taking it as a supplement.
So your anti-inflammatory diet is your top pillar, and then I know people talk about paleo diet, detox diet, purification diet.
Yeah, I'm a big purification diet guy.
Okay.
There are apples and oranges. Okay. When you're talking about what's the best diet for your health, the bottom line, in my opinion, is anti-inflammatory, because it will reduce what?
Your inflammation.
Your genetic expression for disease. Now, if you have specific things you have to look at, you have blood sugar issues, yeah, paleo is really, really important, okay? But paleo doesn't talk about the quality of your fats, okay? If you have cholesterol issues, if you have weight issues, you got to do a purification program, okay? And that's only 3 to 4 weeks, okay? Where you get the toxins that are stored in your fat out of your body, that suppresses your inflammation, and then you can go on to the end game, which is an anti-inflammatory diet. So there's different niche diets in there, but essentially, Jill, if you think about it, all healthy diets are the same.
Right. Lots
of green leafy vegetables, fruit, minimal alcohol, minimal caffeine, if none, no white sugar, no white flour, no fried foods. They're pretty close. And then you can supplement that with nutraceuticals, high quality fish oil, some antioxidants, alpha lipoic acid, coenzyme Q10, maybe some vitamin D is very important in there, and magnesium, and that's good for health.
And I know you like probiotics.
Exactly.
For your gut health.
Your gut health is essential. Like I said, when it comes to nutritional consulting, GI issues is probably one of the top things we see people about. So getting a probiotic in there is really important. And also to reduce inflammation, sleep. If you don't sleep, you will be in a pro-inflamed state. And if you lose 4 hours of sleep, right? If you only sleep 4 hours a night, your cognitively will be thinking like you had 2 alcoholic drinks the next day. That's how quickly you lose cognitive clarity with lack of sleep, as well as creating weight gain and inflammation if you don't sleep. So that's the other pillar of health. So we got diet, we got getting sleep, but guess what? You got to exercise. If you don't exercise, a combination of cardio, flexibility, and strength, your body's not going to be functioning at its best either. So we need to get exercise in there as one of those pillars, one of the foundations of health. Because if you don't move, you don't use it, you lose it. So that's important, and what you need depends on your particular instance. I cannot do resistance exercise now, so I have a problem with that. How am I going to maintain my muscle mass? That's going to be a challenge for me. But everybody has different challenges. Somebody who's a dancer, they have great flexibility. They don't have to worry about that. They got to worry about, strength. So it's all relative.
And then spirituality, happiness, gratitude.
Well, they've studied lots of different things that will help and lengthen your life. The one thing that's going to lengthen your life more than anything else, in terms of years that's been studied, is a healthy mental attitude and embracing the aging process. So yeah, you got to be positive. It'll definitely help. But I will have to give my wife a shout out. Those first 2 weeks in the hospital, She's the one that, God enabled me to survive the dissection, but she's the one that kept me alive, her prayers and her presence. So you need that support, okay? We are just cogs in the wheel, Jill, okay? We're just citizens of heaven going through earth. And we need to realize that we have to appeal to higher motives. And it's, you know, the medicine kept me alive, but I needed to find the right doctors who had the right connection to give me the right answers. So it's not just us. That's very, very important. We realize that.
And your purpose now in contributing to chiropractic?
Well, chiropractic is a valuable part in the health and wellness paradigm also, because by taking chiropractic adjustments, it stimulates your nervous system to function at its optimum, and your nervous system controls all the other systems in your body, your circulatory, respiratory, digestive. So when the nervous system's working better, the rest of your body's working better. So that is one of the pillars of health too. So we have chiropractic adjustments to keep your nervous system strong, spirituality, mental health, it all goes together because prayer and meditation are pretty synonymous. Exercise, diet, sleep, there you go. You know, those are the variables. And my mission now has kind of come full circle because I want to get the story out there that people can empower themselves to embrace lifestyle changes to reduce their genetic expression for disease and have a higher quality of life. And it's not that difficult. I guess the word is it's not necessarily easy, but it's simple. Mm-hmm. It is simple, but it takes effort. But it also takes effort to build your 501k. You got to put effort into it. Well, if we put the same time and effort into our health that we put into our retirement fund, then maybe the average American that has 12 years of disability, their last 12 years of life being disabled in some way, would be reduced. And that's my goal for people, and that's what I want to share, and that's how my office is kind of evolved now.
That's wonderful, Doctor. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for letting our viewers know, your patients know. I know you are teaching doctors. You're the doctor's doctor.
I've gone into teaching other doctors now, yeah.
And I'd really like to thank our viewers for their ongoing support of your series. Really, the comments, the feedback, the suggestions, it really makes it personal for us, and we welcome your continued comments and positive feedbacks and reviews. And it is about sharing information, and you have so much to give so many people. And it's a pleasure to have you speak on so many topics that can really change people's lives. If they have one takeaway, that small difference can really make a big change for them. So
well, it's my pleasure, Jill. Thank you.
And we look forward to hearing more from you, Doctor, in your service to others here on the show, as well as your patients and in your community.